All right, November 24th, full body day, baseline day. It is capacity work. One of my favorite baselines, to say the least, and I'll go into the reasons as to why. But we've had this one for quite some time now, and if you don't know what it is, it's 8 5-minute blocks where we are challenging you, again, obviously on a very individual level, to see how much you can get done in the allotted amount of time, which of course, again, is 5 minutes. Now we work our way through this, mainly body weight stuff. There's one exception here somewhere in there. And your goal is to do as much as you can in the 5 minutes, and then you're going to score yourself based off of the numbers on the monitor, which I'll go over here in a second. And at the end of it, you'll tally up your score of the 7 rounds. You'll get your average. And then the 8th round is kind of like its unique own add-on, which again, anybody that's done this probably knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you have not, or even if you have, I think a good reminder is worth it here. So every round is 5 minutes, and then you guys have 90 seconds to obviously rest, transition, catch your breath, write down what you did before we move on to the next one, which is, it's not super fair in terms of rest to work ratio, but that's kind of the point. 90 seconds is honestly probably teetering on like slightly too long. I would have rather kept this closer to a minute, but I think a minute is just too aggressive, especially with just the changing of movements and obviously tracking. And then of course, it's hard enough with the 90 seconds. I don't think it needs to be any harder than the 1 minute, but that could be something in the future, if you ever do this by yourself, because this is very possible to be done outside of the gym. That you could, chop this down to 60 seconds and just see how you fare relative to your 90-second, rest baseline. But neither here nor there. It's going to stay 90 seconds in Core 4. You got bodyweight squats. Over the years, this is probably the workout, the baseline that I have fiddled with the most. Like, every single time it comes around, and we've done this many, many times now, I have constantly fiddled with the numbers, based off what I did, what other people are doing, trying to just slowly tighten the reins here, become more and more refined with these numbers, and making each threshold or each score the appropriate threshold and realistic for everybody, not only to achieve, but to make it kind of equal across all 7 rounds, because the 8th round, again, is a little bit unique. And again, fine-tuning it a little bit. I changed something in here this time as well. It wasn't a lot. I think I tweaked one block in here just a little bit. Oh, I know what it was. And I'll go over that here in a second. But you got your bodyweight squats. You got 5 minutes. Again, just for clarity purposes, your goal is to do as many as possible. Hypothetically, let's say you do 111 of them. You get 111 of them done, you would get a 3. All right, so you fell in that 110 to 129 range, which again, I put on the side. Things we've added over the years is your average pace in order to hit that score. So you have to average somewhere between 22 and 25 bodyweight squats a minute to get to the 111 score. That gives you a 3. You get 90 seconds. We'll move on to the next ones. Push-ups, same concept. You can score between a 1 and a 5. And then again, I have on the side there in parentheses kind of what you need to average in order to hit that score, which I think is very, very helpful. The more information and data you guys have, over time, the better, right? If this is your first time ever doing it, it may be kind of nice to see that, but you probably don't really know what you can do. Second, third, fourth, fifth time, now you're really kind of honing in on what you're trying to achieve and kind of your expectations based off of your capability or understanding of your capability. So you got the push-ups, and then you got calories bite, everybody's favorite, thrown there right in the middle, number 3. Again, this one has been fine-tuned. I doubt I'll ever change anything here. I will say, full transparency, I think 75 is pretty low. But again, this is one of those ones I kind of had to balance. I think really good bikers, 75 is a bit of a joke, especially with men. But if I put it too high, then it's completely unrealistic for females. And I thought about maybe putting a female calorie count in here, but then I didn't want to make it female male. I just wanted it to be just totally broad in general. Everybody can kind of compare with themselves if they want, regardless of your gender. So maybe there's an argument to be made that maybe one day this is female male, but I think just for the purpose of the baseline, I like keeping it just completely open and not making it female male. Then you got your sit-ups, of course. Again, this one in terms of sit-ups, push-ups, bodyweight squats. As we all know, integrity of the movement is so important. With this coming back around and being a repeat baseline, it's a perfect example of you don't ever want to question if the last time you did this, whether or not you actually use full range of motion. That's just not a fun question to ask yourself. So we want precision, we want integrity of the movement, full range of motion. Make sure you guys are using full range of motion, something that's consistent. I use points of contact, hands hitting over your head, your hands hitting your heels. We use those types of reference points, and brought those into a lot of our verbiage and movements simply for reference purposes, right? If you always hit your hands over your head and you always hit your heels, you don't have to question whether or not you did it last time or not, right? It's just guaranteed. Whereas if you don't have those points of contact, obviously when applicable, sit up very applicable, then you have to start questioning, like, did I do that last time? Did I hit the ground last time? Like, I don't know. Like, so just getting into the habit of doing these things every day, because we do have this type of stuff all the time, whether it's a sit-up or a chest press or a shoulder press, whatever it is. We try to use points of contact and reference points for consistency purposes. So in baselines, like, we want nothing but consistency, right? Obviously we want to trend up, of course. Belly burpees, joy, similar to the bike. I do think getting a 5 on here, realistically speaking, I'm not saying that, like, it's easy for everybody. I think it's easily achievable if you work on it. Let me phrase it that way. So if this is something you truly work on, you get better and better at throwing your body weight around, doing 12 a minute for 5 minutes isn't that crazy. Now, I will say with a caveat or an asterisk, the belly burpees and the bike, especially the belly burpees because it's block number 5. The bike was number 3, I believe. Yeah. What I'm not talking about is, obviously the added fatigue that you've built up over the course of, 5 of these blocks. So if you're just fresh and raw and you just walked into the gym, doing 12 a minute for 5 minutes really isn't that crazy. Obviously now we're talking 25 minutes into this workout, you've got lactic built up everywhere, your heart rate's probably never fully come back down, and you are fighting that, it's hard for you to gain your composure, right? So let's throw that in there as a reason as to why these numbers are a little bit lower and why I am kind of okay keeping them a little bit lower. But all in all, I do think it's just a little bit too easy, and I just don't think I can go up any more than that, realistically speaking. Meters road, this one's always gotten everybody. This one seems to be kind of like the linchpin here, kind of the Achilles heel. Like, we get the block 6, I think everything's just fully come to the full realization here that the lactic is fully set in after the burpees. In 90 seconds, just really hard to turn around and go straight into this, where you do have to be pretty elevated to get up into a 4 or a 5. So this is one of the ones we've tweaked a lot over the years. It used to be a lot higher than this. I think it used to be like 1,400, and it was just proving that people just were too tired by the time they got here. So we brought this one down a little bit. Last time I do remember doing this, 1,200 is a really good mark for a level 5 here, or a score of 5. Again, considering also all the fatigue that's built up over time. You got the bodyweight step overs. This was the part I changed for the first time, I believe. I added in the 20 and 24 inch. I remember doing this when we first moved into the new gym, and the bodyweight step overs are just an atrocity with the new heights. Like, you just can't do that type of volume. So the bodyweight step overs on the left are if you're using a bench or a 16-inch box. I would like, we just got new boxes. I don't know if people have seen them or not when the time you watch this video. So we have 12 of them now. There's a world where maybe we eventually go to 16 or 18, but God, they take up so much space. And I think there's just always going to be people that do not use the boxes. So we can have that conversation at a later date. But bodyweight squats, step overs, you do got to clear the bench or the box. You can jump. There's no reason why you can't. And again, high volume if you're using a bench or a 16-inch. It drops pretty precipitously if you're using a 20 or a 24-inch. And based off of personal experience, it is a whole different world once you go to 20 and 24 inches, especially this late into the workout. And then number 8 is the alternating dumbbell snatch. You're going to pick a weight. If you've done this before, obviously go off what you've done in the past, and you are trying to just AMRAP as many reps as you can. And how this is going to work is if you did, let's just make it easy, if you got a 2 on all 7 of the first blocks, then you got a 14 as your total score, divided by 7, of course. Your score is a 2. Obviously, that makes it very simple. And then when you get to number 8, let's just say I do 41 snatches in that 5 minutes. I'll have 2 and then kind of like plus 41. And then I'll know that I did, an average of 2 for the first 7 rounds. I got 41 on the last block 8 or snatches, and obviously I want to write my weight down, of course. And then over time, what you want to do is see that 2 slowly creep up to a 2.4, 2.6, 2.8. Maybe you can break 3, 3.1. It doesn't need to be this gigantic jump. And anytime somebody asks me, like, in terms of baselines, like how much improvement should you see? The more you do this, you don't really care how big the improvement is. You just want to see improvement. So the longer you've been working out, the lesser gains you're going to get, but the harder the improvement is to achieve. So Even if I were to go up by 0.2, I would be ecstatic, right? I've told people on rows or runs, if I shave off even a second, like I'm thrilled. Like that is a win. I can also say if I haven't been working on something specifically, if I just stay within 5 or 10 seconds of something or a couple of reps of something, even if it is less, like it kind of washes out. Like I haven't been working on that. That niche modality. I don't expect to be necessarily better as long as I can stay within range of where I was. That is also a win. So anybody that's done this before, obviously go back and check your numbers, check the weights, see how you did, where you scored. Anybody that hasn't done this before, warm up appropriately, get loose. A lot of this hip mobility stuff we're doing is fantastic for that.